Yes, people, welcome to Lee Judges TV. I'm your host, Dan Potts, and I'm with Lee Judges, and I've gone to his barber's. It is off, the hair is gone.
I thought you looked a bit different there. Hey,
Tell you,
you've been,
people
I
don't
think,
recognise me anymore, Lee.
you've been. Looks like you've been to the old shearing, like that. I mean, the old, the butcher of Braintree. I think, like, you know what I mean. But I ain't saying nothing, like, So
Well, I'm
one
glad, I'm
cannot
glad,
comment. One
I'm
cannot
glad,
comment.
I'm glad you like it, mate. I'll take it as a compliment.
Yeah. Actually, you look a bit younger, mate. You look a bit younger.
Do I? Oh, I'll take that, mate. I'll take that.
Yeah, I think you do.
Um,
Yeah.
That's all good. I'm happy with that. New microphone and new camera for me. Getting up in the world, Lee Judges. Do you know what I mean? Now we do everything
There
so
you go.
professional on this channel. Well, we try to at least. Lee, how's your day been, mate?
I've had a good day today. I've been up the Hard Rock Cafe, like, you know what I mean, for bottomless brunch, I think it's called. Well, I've had a few beers, Dan. I don't. At one stage, I didn't think I was going to make it on here today. Like, I've got a bit of an headache, and but I'm all right. I'm all right. It's been a good day, though. Very, very good day.
Is
Drowning
that
in sorrows
drowning?
after.
Yeah, I was going to say drowning the sorrows after yesterday. Let's come into that quick. I'm going to give a couple of minutes about what I thought of it. Then I'm going to ask you before we bring some of our guests on later. So for me, Lee, yesterday was. I mean, I went to the game. Got absolutely soaking wet. But I must say, I weren't convinced again, Lee. After the euphoric win of the North London derby, I really wanted to see a style of football that was attractive, and I wanted to see a start, if we could, as good as we did last weekend. But it was a very different game. We all knew it was going to be a different game. Brighton are a very, very good side. Let's have it right. However, they did have three of their best players out in Welbeck, Basuma, and Lamptey, so they weren't a full-strength Brighton side. The conditions, I don't have any excuse. I couldn't believe that the amount of Arsenal fans saying, yeah, but it was raining. Yeah, but it was, bad conditions. It was windy and wet. I don't care. It was windy and wet for all the 22 players that are on a pitch. So I don't see that as an excuse. What I did find frustrating, Lee, was some of the players that were great last weekend didn't really turn up in this game. Martin Odegaard being one of them. I didn't think Partey and Lokonga looked exceptional, if I'm honest. And also Tomiyasu wasn't up to standard. I thought Gabriel was probably one of the best players in an Arsenal shirt, and Ben White didn't really do too much wrong. Kieran Tierney trying to get back into the game. Ramsdale, everybody saying was great and has been, to be honest, for quite some time. But my problem, Lee, is we're not scoring goals, and we're not looking like scoring goals in this game, the Burnley game, and the Norwich game. And it was very, very similar. Now, I know that we can say, we've titled this, "Are we, seeing progress?" I get confused. It's an emotional roller coaster supporting this team under this manager. 1 minute you're high, next minute you're low, but there is still confusion throughout this side. It doesn't matter who's up top, whether it's Aubameyang who can't hold it up, Lacazette who can, Pepe who can make runs but no one pass it to him, Saka and Smith Rowe we rely on too much. There just seems to be a little bit too much going on at the moment with this team. And I do question the manager still, Lee. I'm not convinced 100%. So talk to me. What did you make of yesterday, mate?
Well, I'm a little bit like you. As I've said before, and I say it again, I need convincing with this manager. I need convincing that we're going down the right path. And I'll tell you what, I sat there yesterday and I watched Everton versus Man United in the morning. I thought I watched that game and I see an experienced manager taking an Everton team to Man United and giving them one hell of a game. I thought actually Everton deserved to win it. And I then looked at us, and I just don't see it. I just don't see the plan and whatever. I just see player like what the performance of some of our players is getting me worried now. Like look at the game against Spurs. Everybody was up for it and played really, really well. Then I look at that game yesterday. And I don't know what is it. Spurs are such a bad team. They've gone and beat Aston Villa today, and they're above us. So are they such a bad team or whatever? But everybody was up for it. Everybody played really, really well. I watched it yesterday. Aubameyang couldn't hold up a bank with 55 shotguns. He couldn't do it. He was absolutely awful, and he was allowed to stay on for over 60, 70 minutes. The first substitution wasn't him. I couldn't believe it. So poor. Tierney, what's happened to him? What has happened to him? Like, you know what I mean? Poor again, you know, in the game. The midfield didn't look right, the shape of it all. And I just think this is down to, you know, I looked at it yesterday and I think to myself, yeah, okay, we get a point against Brighton. But what would we actually be like with an experienced coach, a top class coach? That's what I'm looking at, and I don't actually see it like, you know what I mean. I don't see it. I didn't really see us looking like we was going to win the game. Then I look at it, right, and I think to myself, right, hold on, we defended really well in the game. I've got to say that, you know, the defence looks a lot better. And then I look at it and people go, oh, that was Brighton, was an hard game. And I think, well, yeah, it was, you know, you're a tough team, but we've got to go to Liverpool in a few weeks' time.
They're all tough, Lee. They're all tough.
Yeah,
They're going to get tougher than that.
Leicester, we've got to go to teams like that. Now, I looked at, and I'm going to bring Everton into this game because I think you know, I think Rafa Benitez is a manager that we've spoke about that would have liked at this club, and he was available. I just looked at him and I just thought, you know what? He's had a look at Man United and he's give it a go, and it was a way of trying to beat Man United. Now they actually played really well in the first half and actually went down losing. But I want to, and I thought yesterday, I thought when I was going to see Arsenal, I thought, right, let's we've had a great result. The confidence must be up. Let's see us go for it. I never really see us go for the game yesterday. It was just like, you know, like a defensive hanging on sort of a job. And I thought, well, you know, is that really where we're at after all that experience? And the other thing that really worried me, Dan, and I really mean this now, was 20 minutes from the end, how tired we looked. You know what I mean? So really thought, you know, and these are players that are not playing in Europe. They've got rest. You know, I don't really understand what's going on. And I don't want to be too critical of Mikel because, you know, I was very, very positive of him last week, you know, and I will praise him when he does well. And I really, really praise when he does. And I want him to prove me wrong and just, you know, convince me. But yesterday's performance done nothing that I would say could convince me. I don't see too much progress. When people say, oh, there's been progress, we beat Spurs last year. We beat Spurs quite often at home. You know what I mean? Like, it's what I want to do after these games, you know, get these results, get on a good run. In the context of things, 3 results and a draw isn't a bad thing. But my argument is, come up against a decent team. We failed, didn't look very good. We've beaten poor teams and we've lost to good teams. And now we're drawing against half-decent teams. Now, I will say this about Brighton. People are saying, oh, they're a good side and all that. They are a good side, but they were out there two of their better players yesterday as well, in Basuma and Welbeck. If they'd have been playing, I think we'd have been in total disarray against them. And I think when you look at it, that is virtually his best team. And a lot of people were saying, you know, they prefer Lokonga instead of Granit Xhaka in there. So defensively, I'm going to have to say this, we look really, really good. But I just think there's part of me and there's part of me going, what would we be like with a better experienced manager? I will say this in his defence. We at times, the decision making from our front players is abysmal, or the final pass is abysmal, and you know, and it wasn't good enough yesterday. Pepe come on yesterday, didn't do anything. You know, you're hoping that he can come on and do things and whatever. I don't know if it's the instructions of the manager, Dan, because it doesn't seem whoever plays up front doesn't seem to do that. And that game yesterday, I don't care what anybody was saying, was crying out for Martinelli. Bit of directness, a bit of pace. You know what he does. Don't see him again. Don't see him again.
Well, I have severe concerns about Martinelli and the future of him at this club, because not only is Balogun not getting game time, and we've seen Saliba not be given a chance to stay on in France. They're 2 players that I don't expect to see in an Arsenal shirt, if I'm honest with you, because Balogun needs to play men's football, not under 23s. He needed to go on loan to a Brighton or a Palace for a season, in my opinion, to get Premier League football, play with some men, not under 23s. I think with Martinelli yesterday, he's now behind Maitland-Niles again now. I mean, he was a player who I thought was out the door, but Martinelli's now behind Maitland-Niles in the subs, if you're looking at things of the last few games. So that does worry me. What also worries me, Lee, is although Pepe and Aubameyang were pretty frustrating, actually their movement wasn't too poor. They just didn't have anyone to pass them the ball. And you've actually got to have somebody in there, a creative midfielder, which was Erdegaard, who's got to find these strikers, and they're not. They're not. So we're not even creating chances at the moment. And when we are getting half chances, we're not making the most of them. Smith Rowe, chance of the game, needed to square that to Saka. I don't blame the kid because I don't blame the pair of them if I'm honest, because we're relying on them way too much than we should be. But I look at that decision and I think I like the fact that he's a selfish player sometimes because I like players who drive at the goal. But that was the wrong decision. Aubameyang should have done better with that header. You know, he's at the post. Other than that, Lee, we were really poor, weren't we? There was not much creative.
But I have to look at the tactics of it. There's sometimes in midfield yesterday, they get the ball. You know, you haven't got that much time to look up as a midfield player. You look up, where's the outlet? Where's the out ball? Where's the out ball? There was sometimes you pick the ball up. Say it was Smith Rowe picks the ball up. Aubameyang is on the side of him where he's dropped so deep. You've got to have an outlet. You've got to have someone at the top, right? You know what I mean? There was 4 or 5 times they got the ball. I think on Odegaard, I know done it one time. He had a poor game, by the way, but he's got the ball. He's looked up. There's no option. So he's had to cut back inside, and he's lost the ball. What you need is someone to go right. I'll get the ball. Someone has got to stay up front. Someone has got to be at the top of the field. You know what I mean? So there's an outlet. And, you know, as a midfield player, you get the ball and you think, well, hold on, I can only go back or sideways because there's no centre forward. He's not even, you know, halfway. So it's the tactics of the team. You know what I mean? Like, I thought we was too cautious again yesterday. Respected them too much. You know, player, you've got your back 4. You've got 2 holding midfield players. Let the others get up the field a little bit and express themselves. But we just don't seem to do that. And that is a little bit...
You brought up Rafa, Lee, and I think it's a great point. You brought up Rafa, a manager I was crying out for when he didn't have a club. I would have loved Rafa Benitez. He's turned Townsend and Gray into Sterling and Grealish. I mean, they didn't have clubs, both of them, in the start of the season. Now, all of a sudden, they're absolutely flying, a sky-high flying as well. And that, to me, just shows what a manager can do to improve players, but also set a system up that fits into their style of play. I don't see a style of play with Arteta, and I don't think there's one player that he's improved. People will say Saka and Smith Rowe. I think they're showing their raw talent, if I'm honest with you, and I think they can get a lot better. Trust me. People will say Kieran Tierney. I think Kieran Tierney's been brilliant and consistently good up until the last few games, some would say. I don't think that he's improved Kieran Tierney. He's certainly not improved any of our front line because we can't score for toffee. So that worries me when a manager who was lauded for, you know, creating Sterling and so on.
7 games we've played. How many goals? We've scored 3 goals in one game. And you know, against a team. Listen, let's go on to this, which is the one. Spurs just opened up like a fate to us, you know what I mean? Like the old school fate when they just opened up to us and we just took advantage of it, like, you know, because they just didn't they didn't defend. But what happens is that other teams have come in there and right, let's defend. And this is what I would say as a coach. Let's defend solidly. Arsenal are going to find it very, very hard to break us down, and then we can hit them on the break. I don't think that's improved over 20 months since he's been in charge. Right. But what has improved is that we've sort of shut the back door a little bit and it's coming in. But what I will say about this, I know it's completely different and it's off the scale a little bit. But the women's team, right, have got a new manager come in and straight away brought in 1 or 2 players. And my God, he's changed the complete philosophy of how they've gone about it. And they look a really, really good side. He's only been there 2 months. This is 20 months. I know it's a bigger job and whatever. And these are his players now. And I'm going to say this now, and I will stick up for it. I don't think he has got the forward that he wants at this club to take us on forward like that. Someone that's going to do everything in one player. If you look at Aubameyang and Lacazette, if Lacazette had what Aubameyang had, he'd be a great player. And if Aubameyang could hold the ball up like Lacazette, he'd be a top player. But he doesn't. So they need someone that's going to do a little bit of everything. And I don't think that we've got that. And that to me is a big problem.
I think that is a problem, and it's something I brought up about. Do we have that Olivier Giroud type striker? But they are out there. Don't get me wrong, and I'd love to see us go for one. I think we did want Tammy Abraham, but obviously things weren't going to happen for us, and he went to Roma in the end. But people laughed at that potential signing. I think he could do a little bit of what both Aubameyang and Lacazette can do. And I'm not saying he's the answer, and we'd be in the top 4 by now if we'd signed him. But it might just be an idea of why we went for that type of rumour, or we were linked with that type of player. And I think it is something that we do need to address in the summer. Lacazette looks to be off. Eddie looks to be off. Yeah. Balogun, I think, needs a loan. And, of course, Aubameyang's only going to have the last year. So, for me, Aubameyang's a great striker still. I still stand by it. I think for Arsene Wenger, Thomas Tuchel, Jurgen Klopp and Unai Emery to get between 25 and 31 goals out of him consistently, this manager needs a lot of answers as to why he can't get him scoring, because every other manager has got him scoring a lot of goals. So I think this system just doesn't, or whatever this system is, or formation is, doesn't seem to suit it. Couple of things before we think I'll bring our first guest on. Please like and sub to this channel if you haven't done so already. There's just under 300 of you watching live. Be absolutely smashing if you could smash the like button for us and hit subscribe. If you haven't done so already, please go over to our sponsor, Sally's Artwork. Order yourself some designs to hang up on your walls. Me and Lee have put our orders in, so they will be coming very soon and they'll be on display for you. She can personalise any Arsenal artwork for you. So please go and check Sally's Artwork on Facebook and Instagram. I am delighted to welcome our first guest of this evening, friend of the show and friend of both me and Lee's, Amanda Princess Guna. Amanda, how the devil are you?
I'm good. Oh my God, a big screen. I'm good. How are you?
Very good. How are you doing?
I'm good. Look at your bonnet. Looking good, Lee. Dan, sorry, Lee.
I know. We both look the same now, don't we? I've got a little bit.
The Mitchell brothers.
Yeah, that's it. I've got a little bit Wayne Rooney, as someone said in the chat.
Yeah. How are you both?
All good. All good.
Finally, I'm on.
Finally,
yeah. So exciting.
What are you making of Arsenal at the moment? Should we be disappointed with that result yesterday, or do you think it's not a bad point to go in? I'm sitting on the fence on this one. I'll be honest. I think it was. I don't know how to make it. I see positives yesterday, but I see a lot of negatives. How do you feel about it?
Right. Okay. So before the game, I predicted a draw and I literally got lambasted for it. Honestly, I really did. Loads of people going, what do you mean a draw? We should be beating Brighton. I think people do not realise where we are as a club at the moment. Oh my God, the whole screen. I feel that this time last year or even the year before, we would have lost that game. We would have lost it. So I'm trying to look at the positives with the defence for sure, because that's one of the most important parts he had to rectify, because we were awful in defence and I'm really happy with the back four. Unfortunately, and it's weird me saying this because I don't really want him at our club, Xhaka was really missed yesterday and I think we could really see that. He played phenomenal against Spurs. Ramsdale, I think people need to understand something. Do not judge a player until he puts a shirt on and crosses that white line for your club, because the amount of abuse that player got before he even picked up his goalkeeping gloves was ridiculous. But look, I'm old school, aren't I? I'm over 50 and I've been there since the 70s. So for me, I would never criticise a player and I'd never go mental about a player. I remember when we signed Ozil and I was like, this is amazing and what a player to come to our club. But he wasn't what we needed at the time. And I was a bit like, oh, it's not what we need, but he's a phenomenal, player. So I looked at Ramsdale and one of my City mates messaged me and went, what the hell have you signed now? He's atrocious. I went, hold on. Mikel must have seen something. He's not an idiot. So now I think people realise, and I never obviously criticised him, he saved us yesterday. Absolutely. With that one-handed save that was so Seaman-esque. Listen, disappointed. Absolutely, because I'd like to have had 3 points, carried on the momentum from Spurs. And sorry, Lee, I disagree with you. And this is what really annoys me about certain people. And I had this a lot this week from Tottenham fans. They said, oh, we were shit. I said, no, we were good. We made you shit. We came out and we went for that goal. I could not believe what I was seeing that first half. I know you've obviously discussed it this week. Now, this is a different game. Saturday night at Brighton, who are no pushovers. This is the thing. They were like 4th or 5th in league. If they'd have beaten us, they'd have gone second. So what divine right do we have to go there and think, oh, we've got a point on the wet, windy rain. I saw what all the fans were sitting in. I saw what the players were playing in, and we weren't on it, and we got a point. So I do come from the positive side. I think you both know that. I do try and look for the positives. I do feel Mikel is trying to build his own team. Who would have ever known, Lee and Dan, that the minute Aubameyang signed his contract, he would have been absolutely terrible? We were begging him to sign his contract, begging him. And he was terrible yesterday, absolutely terrible.
Do you not think, though, Amanda, as well? And do you know what? I agree with a lot of what you're saying there, to be fair, in relation to kind of having no divine right to take 3 points off anybody. And I totally agree with that. But do you not think that it's more about, forget what the score was, more about the performance of the team, lackluster, no real chances created, not really a style of football yet. And then Aubameyang, I'll let you come in on that as well, because obviously I said to Lee just before you come on about how many managers have managed to get him scoring goals. Do you think that it's Aubameyang's now no longer good, or do you think that he's just not fitting into the way of this style of play that Arteta's trying to implement?
Do you know what, Dan? I don't know. I haven't got the answer because I'm as shocked as anyone. Honestly, when he signed his contract, I was beside myself. Fantastic. And then from the next week, he couldn't hit a barn door. So I don't know. And and I've always said this, and me and KC have said it for years. If that manager picks that team and chooses the tactics, they have got to, when that cross that white line, they've got to perform it. Did they perform it last night? No, they didn't. They really didn't. The defence were okay. But Brighton came at us. The thing is, when teams know that we're not absolutely brilliant at the moment, okay? What we saw against Spurs was absolutely phenomenal. Did any of us expect that first half, how we played? It was amazing.
Oh, it's fairy tale, yeah.
It was incredible. And actually to be there was just incredible, the atmosphere and everything. Now, you are not going to win every game. We are not where we were 15 years ago. I think some supporters need to get a little bit, what's that? I can't think of the word I'm trying to say. To understand we're not going to win we're going to lose. We're absolutely going to lose. We're going to draw and we are going to win. But we're not going to win every game. So the reason I predicted a draw last night is I looked at everything and I thought, I know Arsenal. We're not very good in the wind and the rain. We're not very good when people are at us. And I knew Brighton were going to do it. Exactly what Brentford did. But we got a point. So I'm hanging on to the fact that Ramsdale saved us, that the defence are looking good, and that we got a clean sheet.
Yeah, fair play. Before I let Lee come back in with a question, I want to ask you, the title of this show is, are we seeing progress? Do you think that we are seeing progress under Mikel Arteta and this team now that is now his?
Yeah. So in defence, 100% yes. Absolutely. Midfield, yes. If we could have kept Xhaka fit with Partey. Up front is where the problem is. Okay. Ødegaard, who was phenomenal against Spurs, was completely not on it yesterday. Yeah. You've got Saka and ESR, who very rarely let us down. As much as I feel it really hard to even criticise either of them, they very rarely let us down. And then you've got Aubameyang. Now, there is the argument, is he getting the service? Is he getting the balls? I've seen him in front of goal miss. And he's like an average striker, just average. It's not like the Aubameyang we know. So does he fit with Arteta? And all this nonsense about Arteta's lost the dressing room. Let me tell you, anyone that watched the Spurs game, no, he hasn't lost the dressing room. And he was absolute. You can call me deluded. I can see the comments. You can call me deluded or whatever you want to call me. That is totally my opinion. We would have lost that game last year. So we are seeing progress in defence and midfield. It's the attack. He even came out and said we deserve nothing more than a point.
Well, I think to be honest, I like that's the first interview for a long while that I liked because he was honest. He was honest with that. I don't agree with this thing now, Amanda, saying we'd have lost that game last year because we won there last year. You know what I mean?
No, in that situation, Lee, nil, they're coming at us. We're not on our game. Oh, we would have lost. God,
yeah, and I think that's where the defence has improved. And when people turn around and say, "Are we improving?" I'm totally with you on this. Defensively, we have improved. The reason we've improved defensively is because we've got better players in defence.
Because he bought them.
Yeah, because we've
It's
got new
team.
ones in there. So yeah, so in the defence, and I think that it's been needed. Gabriel's been is a massive plus for us. But I'll tell you what was a good performance yesterday, and people probably won't realise it or say it. You know, Tommy Hassel was absolutely under the cosh in that first half. He was right. You know, he was getting a see into in defending terms. But in the second half, he turned it around. He went back to the basics of defending and just defended. And I like that. That showed me of something that he's not going to. I'm not going to carry on doing what I'm doing because it's not working. So I'm going to change my game a little bit and make sure that I at least do not lose this battle. And I think in the first half he was, in the second half he evened out the battle, and I think that's a good sign. That was a very, very good sign. Defensively, you've got Gabriel and Ben White. They look very good. You know, listen, Tierney didn't have a great game, but ultimately that defence will do us well. What we've got to do is sort out going forward and all that. And people keep going to me, oh yeah, Smith Rowe and Saka are great, which they are, right? But they're part of the problem because the front four, particularly away from home, is not clicking. Now, it clicked against Spurs. The reason it clicked against Spurs is because they emptied out midfield. It was highlighted on Sky Sports. Why they done that, I don't know. And what happened was that if Brighton would have done that, Odegaard would have had all the space. Odegaard couldn't get free yesterday. Couldn't get in there. So you have to look at other ways of doing it. And I think Saka and Smith Rowe, the problem we had yesterday is how do you get them from in our own half defending up the field? Well, the only way you get the ball is to get the ball and it has to stick, right? So then the front player holds the ball up. That allows the midfield and forward players to get forward. The fact of the matter is, as soon as it went up front, it kept coming back. So they couldn't get no platform. Now, this is the problem when you play Aubameyang there. And I look at the game yesterday, and with Aubameyang, he done everything you wanted him to do against Spurs and more. He didn't do it yesterday, and that was the problem. So the big problem with me with Mikel is it's not working. And I think it's I think if you look at that game yesterday, you go, right, big three central defenders. And my God, they're big. You won't want to play up against them and hold the ball up and things like that. It's very hard for him to actually say, right, horses for courses, I'm dropping Aubameyang after his performance against Spurs. He couldn't do it. But what he could have done was said, like, this ain't working. I need to bring it. And he brought him on far too. And I'll tell you what, once we brought on Lacazette, we got a little bit of a platform in that game for 10, 15, 20 minutes, and then we tired. So that is my big worry. That forward has got to be pivotal for our midfield players going forward, and that is the worry for me.
But can we just not look at the fact that we might have been off our game a little bit and Brighton actually played well and they actually deserved to win it? If they had their shooting boots on, they could have won it 4 or 5-0.
No, listen, they've been like that last season. The reason that they were down there last season because they didn't take their chances. I just think I get what you're saying, but we've had enough off perform. We've had 7 games and we've had about 4 off games now in 7. You know what I mean? Like that ain't
good
enough.
2 of those were City and Chelsea, Lee. Not many teams are going to beat them. I was at the Etihad. We were brilliant for 6.5 minutes. No, I'm not joking. I
take that on board. You forget about them 2 games.
You watch Liverpool City today. We're in a different league, different league. And I think that's why we want to be good league. Look, we do. We want to win everything. We want to win the Premier League game. We want to do that. But and Dan knows that it's going to take a long time to transition. It is. And if people aren't satisfied yet, Mikel will be out and we get another one in. And it'll be the same merry-go-round again. We have to stick with someone. I personally think, and I know there's not many people out there that do, I think Mikel can do it. I do. I really, really do. But
I'm not convinced. I
know you're not. And time will tell.
I look at Everton. They've got a new manager in. I look at Everton. Within months, they look a different side, there's something going on with them. I see with Arsenal just 1 step forward, 2 steps back, 1 step forward. And I just don't know if it is the manager or it is the players. I don't know. But what I expected yesterday, after that game against Spurs, I don't say I'm expecting Arsenal to win the game or whatever. I expected us to put in a better performance than that yesterday, like individually and as a team. It didn't happen. And that's my big worry. We haven't got that consistency in the game. But in saying that, and I take your point on board there, we have that consistency with the back four. You know, people are mentioning Vieira. Vieira's doing a fantastic job at Palace, by the way. You know what I mean? Like, whether that's putting pressure on Mikel, I don't know. But I just think that I also think this with Mikel, and I'm going to stick up for him here. When he first come into the team, he had like COVID. He had
no pre-season.
It was a difficult time for him to come in. So from where I think Vieira's got an instant impact, and probably, you know, as we just said, like at Everton under Benitez they had, I think it was a little bit harder for Mikel. But I do feel now that there should be more improvement than what I'm seeing in this side. And I do worry about the fact that Martinelli is just not getting any minutes whatsoever. That is a big concern.
I know. I was thinking that the other day, actually. I don't really know what's going on there. He either doesn't rate him or he's got an attitude problem. I don't know, because it would be good to see it. We need him. That's the thing. I mean, the good thing about Mikel is he did sub Aubameyang yesterday for Lacazette. So that is a good thing that he will do that. I don't know. You know what, Lee? It's hard because I think...
I thought that was quite a late start.
65 minutes, didn't it? Or was that the first sub he did?
It was like
69,
wasn't it? Yeah,
I think
it's quite late, but you know.
But Dan, I've always argued this, because do you remember Wenger did it on 69 minutes every single day, every single game he did 69 minutes. And I spoke to a coach at a club once, and I said, "What the hell? Why would you not change it at 43 minutes if it's not working?" And they said they have their game plan, and it's always up to around 60 minutes. And if it doesn't work, that's when they change it. And remember, Emery didn't do that. Do you remember Emery changed players, and we were like, "This is brilliant." But that didn't work either. I don't know. Listen,
Why is it, man? Just sorry. Why is it that you, because obviously you said you think Mikel can do it, you really do. So convince me and Lee why. What has he done so far to say, trust me, I know it ain't going well, but for these 20 months, I've seen enough to say this guy's the man. Okay,
so what Lee said before, Dan, he came in with no pre-season and COVID, yeah? I'm not saying he's going to do it and make us wonderful again, but I think he's got a really good chance of doing it. The most important thing that we had to do was shore that defence up. He's starting to do that. We can all see that. 1-0 to the Arsenal, 1-0 to the Arsenal. We beat Spurs. We didn't lose to Brighton. It does seem that a lot of your listeners seem to think we've lost. I don't know if it's a younger age thing or not, because I've been through the good and the bad and the good and the bad, and you will all go through it. I just think we're getting there. It's going to be slow. And if people don't have patience, they're going to want him out. And there has been a lot of flip-floppers, Dan. There's a lot of people that wanted Arteta out. And after Spurs, they were like, yeah, brilliant. I've never been like that. You know, I was one of the very last ones that wanted Emery out. I thought he was doing a really good job, but I wanted him to stay. But I'm in the camp of we've got to give him time. I think he's... Listen, he brought Tomiyasu. I can't even say his name. Tomiyasu in. Yeah, that's right. You know, everyone went, "Who's that?" Ramsdale. You know, he is trying. He's got a fantastic core of ESR and Saka. Hopefully Martinelli. You know, Erdogan, I'm so pleased he signed for us. He had an off game. They all do. Everyone does at clubs. They all do. Yeah. So, but people have to understand we're not. If you watch the game today between Liverpool and City, it was phenomenal. That second half was just amazing. We're not in that league. If you accept that, then give Mikel a chance. Listen, you do what you want. You're a supporter. Don't matter whether you go to the game or not. If you don't want Mikel in, that's totally up to you. But we need to support him now. I'll tell you something, we've got a few tough games coming up. And Lee's right, we go to Anfield next month. It's going to be tough. We've got to get behind the team and him. He is our manager at the moment. So I just think the defence he has shored up. Now he's got to look at attack. He really has got to look at that. We're not scoring enough goals.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not scoring enough goals.
That is a problem. We're not creating, and we're not scoring, and we're not. And sometimes I'm going to have to say this. That's not all down on the manager, because missing chances is. But we're not really creating too many at this moment in time. And I don't know. When I look at that, and I look at that team of a play like Aubameyang, Lacazette, or whoever you want to put up there, you know, Smith Rowe and Saka, they're fantastic young players. and also, you know, Odegaard. I do think that we should be getting a little bit more out of these guys than what we're getting. You know,
but Lee, if he picks, how could he drop Aubameyang after what he did against Spurs? He's not doing it game after game. I think Aubameyang is the problem. And I don't know what...
I think it is a problem. So what I said earlier on, I do think that is a problem.
Honestly, last year when I was on the pod, I used to say to Kev, you've got to drop him. You know, you can't keep playing him. And Kev's argument is, being a striker, obviously you've got to play him into good form. But we never got into good form, did we? Then this season, it's been okay-ish, not too bad. And then he comes against Spurs and we're like, well, Aubameyang's back. Aubameyang's back. We all said it. And then yesterday, you're like, did he really want to play?
Well, I agree. I think, you know, he should have 5 games, and that's why I don't think that he should be dropped at this moment in time. In those 5 games now, he's had one good game at Amanda. That was against Tottenham.
I agree.
The rest of them, even though, you know, he hasn't been there. So I do think that Mikel has got to look to address that at some sort of stage. I don't know who with, but
has he got to address him, Lee, or address the fact that he doesn't get the service sometimes?
Well, I think there's.
Should he be on the wing? Should he be down the front? You know, it's hard. And I think this is why he needs time, Mikel. The problem is fans don't give that time because we want it instant. We want it instant. We beat Spurs and all of a sudden we're climbing a little bit. Now we've gone down to, I think we're 11th. You know, we're only in October. Listen, I think a lot by the end of this season, if we haven't progressed, if we're 8th and 9th, he won't be there, will he?
Well, I don't think he will be, and I don't think he should be. Honestly, I really don't. I don't think we can get to a stage where we're in like the bottom half of the table, 12 points off of the top 4, and we're in like sort of end of November. We've got to make a change. We can't ruin another season. So, you know, 20 months is a good time for me. Look at some of the other managers that have had less time than that and have straight away.
But Dan, 20 months of a normal life. None of us have had a normal life for 20 months. He's come into a club that was on the decline. Wenger left, and I mean, I could go on about this, but I won't. Wenger left us in a terrible state. I don't know if I can swear on here. A terrible state. And then we've got Emery, and oh my God, honestly, give him 20 months of a normal life, of our normal life. Yeah. I'm sorry. You know how I feel, Dan.
I think.
Oh no! I know we're on the opposite. Go on, Lee.
No, just the one thing we've got to say. Look, I'm trying to bring it, you know, a positive thing here. International break to this international break, 3 league wins and a draw. It's not doom and gloom. You know what I mean? We've won 3 out of 4 games and we've not lost, so we're unbeaten in that. What we've got to do is go to the next batch of games and do exactly the same. If we can go and win 3 and draw 1 in that batch, then we're not going to be where we want to be, but we're not going to be far off of it. I think we're 4 points off of top 4 at the moment. So you at this moment in time, it's not all. That was a good little bunch of wins and a draw. The one thing that worries me is the performances have not been good enough. He's got to improve the performances, but ultimately he's. At this moment in time, I'm gonna be honest. I'm taking that. I'm taking that. That was decent enough for us. I think at the end of the day to move on to the next batch. Which we've got. It's no good going to the next batch and losing. If we lose the next 2 home games, then you know, I mean, then we're in a bad shape. We've now got to go and win those 2 home games. By the way, Villa and Crystal Palace first. Are massive games now. The fans have got to be on side, get behind it, and go from there. We must win those 2 games before going to Leicester, and then we'll see where we are come the end of October.
So I know Dan's feelings on Arteta because we've had many conversations about it. How would you feel, Dan, by the end of the season? Say we end up top 5, he's progressed us. Say we win the FA Cup or the League Cup, whatever we win, something. How are you going to feel, Dan? Because I know you're very anti and you don't want him. I know you want him out. That's fine. And you've always said that and you've always stood by that. How would you feel?
Well, 2 things you've said, which I'll come back to. One, we've shown progress, you said, and that's what I want. So, of course, I'll be happy. And how will I feel if we win something? I'll be ecstatic because I'm an Arsenal fan. I don't feel like this manager is taking us to the right place. I might be wrong, and I'm not saying I'm right. I'm hoping I'm bloody wrong, if I'm honest, because it means that if we're winning stuff, then that's all what we were supporting the club for, isn't it?
Of course.
My only question marks have been for a long time now, are we showing progress under this manager? And I know that there's been things that haven't gone his way. But I look at Graham Potter, he's not been at Brighton very long. They're playing fantastic. He's turned the club around. David Moyes at West Ham, outstanding. Dean Smith at Villa. I look at Rafa Benitez, only a few months in the job at Everton. Thomas Tuchel took the side that was 9th in the league up to the Champions League when it get to an FA Cup final and into the top 4. So I see all their managers showing progress. We're still stuck in the mid-table. So, of course, I have question marks. I'm not one of these guys who wants us to lose football games so that Arteta gets sacked.
No, I know you're not. But there are many that do, which I can't believe.
Trust me, there are. Yeah, trust me, there are.
Ridiculous.
Many that do. It is ridiculous. They're not Arsenal fans if you want to lose games of football, if you support the club. It's absolute madness. We did have a super chat before we let you go, PG. Are you all right to answer this one? It's from
go on.
Raj Gandhi saying, I'm with PG. Which top 10 team depends upon a 19-year-old and a 20-year-old inside forwards to get goals?
Exactly. It's the toughest bit, isn't it? It is the attack with us at the moment. We're going forward, creating the chances. He's got to put them away, Aubameyang. You know, he is our captain. He's on God knows how much money per week. He's parading around in his cars. He's always on social media. You know, now put your money where your mouth is and just get on and do the football. I'd rather not see him on social media. I know he's a family man. I just don't know what's changed. It's not Arteta. He wouldn't have signed, would he? He could have gone anywhere. He was absolutely phenomenal at the time. So I don't know, but I don't know any teams. I mean, you look at Chelsea when they came to us a few weeks ago, they didn't even get out of first gear and they beat us easily. It was embarrassing, absolutely embarrassing. The manager and the players have to take responsibility for this. I just think if we get another manager in, is it going to be the same old thing? Because I'm like you, Dan. If I'm wrong, then I'll be wrong. And he isn't the right man for the job. And the next manager that comes in, I'll support him again and let's see what he can do. I just want it to work for Arteta because I sit opposite him at the Emirates. I can see he's up the whole time. The whole time he is shouting and screaming at different players all the time. The passion he feels for the club. You saw it against Spurs. Absolutely. His job's on the line every game. I think he's under pressure all the time. So let's just hope. Let's just hope we can win. If we lose to Villa and Palace, again, we'll all start be thinking about bloody relegation again. It was so great against Spurs, wasn't it? It was so great.
It was great, of course. No, it was great.
It would have been nice to. We didn't lose. Everyone needs to understand we didn't lose.
That is a point that's got to be made. I agree. Like, you know what I mean? It's not all doom and gloom. It's not all doom and gloom at the moment. We just come off the back of 3 wins, one against our biggest rivals. I don't care if they were crap or whatever. Like, you know, that's still
they were. We were good.
And we was good, exactly.
And,
you know what I mean?
And Lee, do you know what? Sorry to interrupt you because I just remember this. You know what really upsets me is when commentators often say, well, if they don't win today, then Sunday meant nothing. Nothing? Are they mental?
No,
Sunday meant
they always mean
everything.
Something. Yeah.
Just because you don't win the next game, it doesn't mean that doesn't mean anything. It wound me up, that did.
I totally agree. That was important. Listen, at the end of the day, Arsenal turned up and performed, Spurs didn't. And that's not Arsenal's problem. Let them deal with that. You know, they're giving it today that they're top of us, you know. Like, I'll tell you what, I'd rather have beaten them 3-1 and be 2 points behind. You know what I mean? Like, so, you know, like last week, they were all saying they weren't interested. They was watching the golf. All of a sudden, they're back. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't care what they say. We're giving them a good smacking, and I'm grateful for the players to do that. Like, you know what I mean? So it ain't all doom and gloom. Let's put it that way.
That's the thing. There's a tiny little bit of hope, isn't there? We need to build on it. We need to start putting in the performances. I do agree with you, Lee, on that. We do need we need Tottenham performances a little bit more.
Yeah. You know, and let's hope we get them.
Let's hope we get them. Amanda, absolute pleasure having you on. Great to see you.
I have to have you on again, Amanda. A bit more time next time.
Blimey. I'm going to come back. That's lovely.
You can come back after that. Very, very good. Like, stated your case tremendously well.
Thank you.
Amanda, before you go, how can everyone follow you on social media, mate, and what you're going to be up to?
They can't know. Right. At Goonagirl1969 on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I do the Facebook, the lot. Basically, my whole tweets are about sarcasm and Arsenal. I don't know what I'm going to be doing. As everyone knows, that I left the hybrid squad 5 months ago. I've had lots of little offers and I've enjoyed being guests on shows. Just watch this space. Let's see what happens. But yeah, I really enjoyed tonight. Thank you, boys.
No, brilliant.
Great
Always
stuff.
a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Always welcome, Amanda. We'll speak to you soon. Everyone is late to the chat because they keep saying, "What's gone on with Dan's hair?" I have had a haircut, people. It's gone. This is what happens when you support Arsenal Football Club. It
I'll tell you
goes.
what, that was, before you go on, just forget about your ear, right? I'm going to say this now, like, you know what I mean? Like, Amanda put up a different perspective to me and you there, and there were some good points made there. Some very, very good points made. I'm still not convinced about, as you've said, he ain't convinced me yet. It's going to take a lot more to convince
I don't
me.
mind people's opinions, Lee, as long as they back them up, or they give an opinion and then they back that opinion up. That's fine by me. That's what I've always tried to do, and I don't expect. Trust me, I'll get enough hate.
Really, I tell you, you're going to get a lot. You're
going
to get a lot.
I've had Wayne Rooney. Luke Shaw was another one. Luke Shaw. I've had.
I don't know about that. Wayne Rooney looks good, like, you know what I mean? So.
It's all a good laugh. Right, our next guest, Lee. Massive fan of this guy, a great friend of the show, and of both you and I. Daniel Bailey from Daniel Bailey TV. Daniel, how are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm good, guys. How are you?
Hey, Daniel, where are we, man?
You all right, Lee?
You all right?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. I'm good. I am now. I'm dry. Let's be honest. Because yesterday at the Amex, it was absolutely
horrendous.
atrocious. Like, honestly, it was. Do you know what? When you're sat watching the game and you've got 70-mile-an-hour wind with relentless rain driving into your face, it isn't good. It is not good at all. But yeah, it was horrendous.
It was a bit, wasn't it, Daniel? And the performance weren't too great. What are you making of things, not just yesterday, but in general at the moment? And where do you stand on the manager, buddy?
So I'm very mixed. Yesterday's performance, I was very mixed as well, because at the end of the game, I was a little bit disappointed with the way we performed. I come out the stadium, and obviously I think the weather didn't help as well. So I was like, we put in a performance against Spurs, and then we just go and put in a performance like that. But having had time to sort of reflect and sort of think about it, one of the things that's pleasing me at the moment with Arteta, and I'm not Arteta's biggest fan. I think he's got a long way to prove himself to me, and he's not yet done that. But one of the things that I was looking at when I was reflecting on yesterday's game and the last run of games, you know, Burnley, Norwich, and Spurs, I was looking at the fact that over the last 18 months, he's not really picked a consistent 11. He's always chopped and changed the team lineup. And when I'm looking at the last run of games, he's stuck with pretty much the same lineup. You know, the back five now pretty much picks itself. The back five pretty much picks itself. And the only change he made yesterday was obviously the enforced change because of Granit Xhaka's injury. So I'm liking the fact that he is sticking with the same lineup. And I think from a positive point of view, we have to sort of give this lineup time to gel, because I don't think they're fully gelled together. I think I look at this lineup now and I look at the players that are in it. Obviously take out their new signings, but look at the players that are in it that were here last season. They've been, you know, 1 week in the lineup, 1 week out the lineup, you know, then they're missing for a couple of games, then they're back. And so I don't think they've really had time to gel. So I think I still see a lot of teething problems with them gelling as a team and gelling as a unit. So I think we do have to take that into consideration. But having said that, our attack is atrocious at the moment. I don't know what's gone wrong with our attack. I don't know what there just seems to be. Like, I look at the defense and everybody's on the same page. Everybody's working hard together. I look at Ramsdale. He's so enthusiastic, and I wasn't Ramsdale's biggest fan when we signed him because I felt we could do better. But actually, he's proved me wrong, and I'm happy to say that he's proved me wrong. But they're all working together in the defense. I don't see that in the front line. I don't see that same cohesion yet. So I think there's still a lot to work on. The other thing that took from yesterday's game, and this is it might be a minor detail to everybody in the chat and to you guys, but why have we devalued set pieces? Apart from, Odegaard's free kick, why have we devalued corners and free kicks? I was watching Pepe. He come on yesterday, and not once did he beat the first man in taking a corner. And I'm just like, why can't we utilize our set plays more and try and score goals? If we're struggling to score goals from, open play, why can't we try and do it from set plays and corners?
I think it's a great point.
Well, that's a great point. And Thomas Partey trying to shot from 35 yards, you know what I mean? Like, come on, like, you know what I mean? Like, when you're watching that, you're thinking to yourself that, come on, be realistic. You ain't going to beat a Premier League goalkeeper realistically. You might do it 1 in 100 or whatever, but like, come on, you know what I mean? Like, there's got to be better ways to try and score. I agree with that, like, and I thought we got someone in to sort this out, like, you know what I mean? But
yeah, so did I. Our set piece coach is. I don't know what he's doing, but he's obviously not doing his job properly.
Defensively, he was doing it defensively, because like they had about 10 corners yesterday. With all those big players, I thought we handled that pretty well. I will say that. So, like, let's give a bit of praise for the defensive side of the game again. But from an attacking point of view, Daniel, you're right. You might as well, when it's a corner or a free, you might as well just give it back to the goalkeeper.
Yeah. So. I honestly, when you just sit there and you're watching the game and it just hits you. It's just like, why are we so crap at set pieces? What I look at other teams and you can tell that they work hard on their set pieces. I look at Arsenal and I reckon in training they've just gone, let's just not worry about the set pieces. We've got bigger things to worry about. And actually the set pieces can be one of the most critical points in the game. Yeah. You're right. It did. And I just think if we can utilize that more, because I look at our attack at the moment, and I look at the likes of Aubameyang, and I will say this as well, right? When I know, listen, the performance wasn't great yesterday, and a lot of people are rightly criticizing the team, but I do think these senior players need to, when these young players, because when you look at the average age of our team, it's a young squad. So these senior players need to take hold of the game and encourage and help these young players, because let's be honest, all the positive performances over the last 4 games have come from young players. None of our senior players have stepped up.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely spot on there in terms of senior players not turning up. And we've seen that over the last couple of seasons, Daniel. But I've got 2 questions for you, really. One's in the title, are we seeing progress? And are we seeing a style of play under Arteta, do you think, Dan?
In terms of the style of play, I'm not so sure that we are seeing a style of play. I just, you know what, I look at the way we played against Spurs, and I was so refreshed by that performance, not just because we beat them lot, but because of the way and the manner of the performance. I've always said, and I said it when we lost to Brentford and we lost to Man City and we lost to Chelsea, I said, listen, it's not the defeats that's bothering me. It's the manner of the defeats, and it's the way that we just roll over and just we're just, I said at the time, we just seem to be soft-centered. And so when I see a performance against Spurs and the way we played, I was like, if we can do this every week. And I said leading up to the Brighton game, I said this is a really, really critical time for Arsenal and for our development, because we've just come off the back of a North London derby where the intensity was so high, the players were buzzing, the fans were buzzing, everybody was united in wanting to beat Spurs. So when you when you beat them the way that we've done, it's hard to get back down to a level to go, okay, we've beat Spurs, it was great, and now we've got to go on and do that against Brighton. And I felt yesterday we walked into that game off the back of that Spurs defeat with a little bit of complacency. I got to be honest. I felt I looked at this team and I looked at the players yesterday, and I felt a little bit that they thought they were going to come and roll over, Brighton the way that we did against Spurs. Brighton are in form at the moment. Brighton are in form. They've got a good manager who's got them playing really well, and I think that is one of the criticisms. When Dan, in answer to your progress question, I think we're seeing progress in certain areas of the pitch, but I don't think we're seeing progress as a team. Because let's be honest, we've not beaten an informed team yet, and we've not beaten anybody that's in form. We've not gone to, say, a team that's really flying high at the moment, and we've beaten them. So until we beat an informed team and the performance is great, it's a bit hard to say whether we've seen total progress. But I think in areas of the pitch, we're seeing progress.
Yeah, I think you make some good points, because the defence is definitely progressed now. We've seen Gabriel and Ben White together for the last few games, which has looked good. Tommy Yasu's come in, and Tierney's one of the best players, I think, although a lot of people are saying he's not really turned up this season. I still think that he's got enough credit in the bank for me. Aaron Ramsdale, you mentioned, I think that's been a good signing from what we've seen in the early days. And once we do get our midfield kind of ticking, I do think that Partey and Lokonga can be a good partnership until we get that upgrade on Granit Xhaka through the door, hopefully in the next couple of windows. I think that Ødegaard is a little bit hit and miss for me. And then you go forward, Daniel, and it's like, I don't really think it matters who we play up there. None of them can seem to put it in the back of the net. I don't know if it's lack of creativity, lack of being clinical, bit of both, or is it the style of play that Arteta's trying to implement? Because I don't think that these players are suited into this system. Aubameyang, I've said it before, has scored goals everywhere that he's been under 6 or 7 managers now. He's always hit 25 to 30 goals a season. Lacazette got player of the season under Unai Emery. We see Saka and Smith Rowe now that are creating, and they're trying to get this into the scene, but they're 20 and 21 years old. Pepe's numbers are much better than what people give him credit for. But again, this season, we're not seeing him put it in the back of the net. So what is it in the way that you're looking at it, Dan? Is it the players? Is it the system? Is it the manager? Or is it a bit of both?
Before I answer that question, I just want to quickly go back to your point about Kieran Tierney.
Sure.
I looked at the defense over the last 3 or 4 games, and I actually think there's a case for Tavares coming in for Tierney. I've got to be honest. I've got to be brutally honest. I have sat and watched Kieran Tierney, and I've given him chance after chance. And don't get me wrong, he's a fantastic player. I just think at the moment he's not performing. And I think Tavares gives you something else. He gives you that energy that I don't think Tierney is giving at the moment. I don't think he's giving 100%. And I think maybe taking him out of the team for 1 or 2 games might give him a little bit of a wake-up call.
What do you think to that, Lee?
Listen, I think that Tavares has certainly put pressure on him. I felt that, he was fantastic against Wimbledon. I know it was only Wimbledon, but that sort of, I thought, kicked Tierney into gear to do everything. Yeah, I don't think that he's being lazy or whatever. I just think that maybe he's not 100% fit and he's just trying to get through games. And I think that's a big worry for me. He's got to power through games. He's not doing that. I think, if you look at the games before the Spurs game, he was cramping up and being taken off and all that, So I don't think, I think that, whether he needs a break. Don't forget he played in the Euros as well. So maybe, his body needed a bit of a break. I don't know. It just hasn't come back the same player from that. I don't think that's necessarily down to the manager. I just think maybe there's something not quite right with him at this moment in time. But listen, when you can produce a performance like against Spurs, it's there and it's in his locker, isn't it? You know what I mean? You've put, you know, then he has another poor game, and it's not so much for the time. If it was his crossing yesterday, you know what I mean? It's just sort of like there was no purpose to it. There's no purpose to his play, which he's had in previous. So, listen, I think, in my honest opinion, I think that he's got a little bit of credit in the bank for what he's done in the past. So for me, he still plays, but he's got to get into form and get in quick, because I do agree. Tavares is now starting to push him, and that's what you want. That's what you want.
That is what you want, competition for places. Sorry, Daniel, I'll let you come back in because you were going to talk about the centre forward situation.
Yeah, no worries. So I have always championed Aubameyang. I've always looked at Aubameyang and I thought, you know, when people have sort of maybe turned against him and sort of gone, do you know what, he's finished. Right last season, I said, listen, he's going to come good again. He's gonna find his form. He's a player that feeds off confidence. He's a player that feeds off the buzz of the crowd. And I just look at him this season and I see the same kind of. I don't know what it is. It's hard to explain, but he's not quite firing on all cylinders. I know some people say, well, is he getting the service? I've seen him miss chances. He's had clear-cut chances and missed them. And, you know, when an informer Aubameyang is scoring those chances, I genuinely think, and this is my personal opinion, I genuinely think that this team is a young team. And I just don't think Aubameyang fits in to this team. And I don't think Aubameyang fits into what Arteta is trying to do. I think that we've got a decision to make, because the longer we persist with Aubameyang and build the rest of the team, we are going to get to a situation where the rest of the team's good, but we're going to be lacking a striker. You know, before we signed Aubameyang, we were all saying before he came in, you know, under Wenger and that, we need a world-class goal-scoring striker. We need a world-class goal-scoring striker. Then we brought in Aubameyang and he sort of solved that problem. But now I'm looking at it this way. I think if we persist with him for too much longer, you know, while the rest of the team gets cohesion together, while the rest of the team is built, I just think we're going to end up in a situation with another team again, but with no world-class striker. So I think there's going to have to be some decisions made in regards to Aubameyang, because he's getting on a bit as well. He's coming towards the end of his career, and maybe the performances are showing that. So I think Arteta in the next January or next summer, because it's probably more likely going to be next summer, he needs to decide what he's going to do with the forward positions, because obviously I think Lacazette's, I think he'll be off as well. So then that's our two best strikers gone. So I think he's either going to have to bring in Martinelli and bring in Balogun and maybe just build a team with them two in it, or he's going to have to go out and spend big on a couple of world-class strikers, because at the moment that's a real issue.
It is, mate, and I think you make some great points in terms of Lacazette and Aubameyang, and I think it could be their last season. But of course, we'll see what happens in the summer. Daniel, absolute pleasure having you on, mate. We've put your kind of links and stuff in the socials. So how can people follow you and tell everybody about your channel, mate?
Yeah. So I'm on Twitter. I'm on Twitter and YouTube. So Daniel Bailey TV. I was I was on Facebook until my Facebook page got banned for no apparent reason. So unfortunately, you can't follow me on Facebook. I'm in the process of trying to get it back up, but yeah, it's an ongoing issue. But yeah, certainly the YouTube. I'm trying to push to 5,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is my next big target, and it's a personal target for me as well, because as you guys know, I was good friends with Claude, and before he passed away, me and him sort of sat down, and he was gonna help me get to 5K, and we were gonna raise a glass. So 5K is my personal achievement. If I can hit 5K on YouTube, then I'm gonna raise a glass in Claude's memory.
Mate, I think that's amazing. Make sure you get over to Daniel Bailey TV, hit a like and subscribe on the channel and follow him on all the socials. Daniel, absolute pleasure. Myself and Lee, thank you. And we will
Cheers,
both be
Daniel.
on your channel.
Cheers, Lee. Cheers, lads. It's
I'm
been
sure.
good.
Cheers, mate. The wonderful
Top
Daniel
guy,
Bailey there.
top guy.
Oh, he's brilliant. I love Daniel. He's a great lad. And I know that him and Claude are really close as well, as me and you were, Lee, as well. So it'd be good to get his subs up as well. Last guest of the night, save the best till last, they say, don't they? We're going to welcome Ken.
I don't know about that.
Hi guys, how are you?
How
are
you?
First and foremost, I just want to sort of congratulate you, Lee, on your new channel. I've watched a lot of it. It's very enjoyable. It's very you.
Thank you very much.
I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing. Thanks, Michelle, for getting this guy sorted out. Because you always got to mention Michelle. You don't give Michelle enough credit, Lee.
No,
I'm very disappointed in that. You know what I mean? But Michelle, wherever you are, thanks a lot for all the background work and getting the judge sorted. Dan, you're doing fantastic things as well.
What about his haircut?
He's had his haircut. Well, I remember going to a Norwich game where I had loads of hair and a mushy beard, and then when I went and did Lee Gunner's players ratings, people didn't recognise me because I shaved it all off and I managed to trim the beard. So it's one of those things where here today and gone tomorrow.
Kenny, let's talk about football, mate. Let's get into the swing of things. Obviously, you've been doing the fan cams for the channel, which we appreciate, and they've been fantastic. Love listening to you, Kenny.
Have you put the fan cam up from yesterday yet?
Yeah, it's up there now. It's up there with a lot of them. They've all gone into one video, so they'll be up.
Oh,
so that's
good stuff.
So that is up on the channel.
Dave's trying something new, you know what I mean? He does like to try things new, like, you know what I mean? So
fair enough.
we give him it, like, so. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. We had a stream the other week when he went on a new stream. Well, it was a disaster. We won't go into that.
Trial and error, mate. Trial and error. Kenny, what's your viewpoint on things, mate? Because me and you speak quite a lot, and we're a little bit on the same wavelength. I think we're a little bit confused at times.
100%. I think.
Yeah, I think we are both 100%. So my questions to you are this: are we seeing progress under Mikel Arteta?
No, we're not. No, we're not. I think it's just a bit of a mythology. I think because of our results have been so horrendous the first 3 games of the season, we've latched on to 3 wins against bottom of the table Norwich, second from bottom Burnley, and a demoralised Spurs side that got absolutely battered by Chelsea. And previously, when they went down to 10 men, lost to Crystal Palace. Another thing as well, the situation with Spurs, they haven't replaced their fullbacks in Trippier and Kyle Walker. They haven't replaced Danny Rose. Players like Doherty hasn't been a glowing success for Spurs, neither has Aurier. The midfield is not the same that it was before. Dele Alli's gone backwards. And Harry Kane does not want to be there. He genuinely believed that his friendship with Levy, whatever that is, player and chairman having a friendship, that's pretty odd anyway. He thought that result in going to Man City, but didn't happen. So we're playing a Spurs side that were there for the taking, and we duly obliged. They were very helpful in terms of the fact they gave us loads of space in midfield, and we were able to get that back for a wall. But we put in a fantastic performance, and I think a lot of Arsenal fans thought, right, this is how Arsenal should play. A lot of people were saying inventing a Mikel Arteta style of play because of the one game against Tottenham. Oh, yeah, the defence, we're now playing 4-3, 2-1 and all sorts of things. And they're using words like pivots. Never heard the word pivot when we played, Lee. It was full. We had a midfield where one went and one stayed. None of them did it at the same time. And that we had a midfielder that can do a Brian Robson, David Platt style. Pivots, I don't know what it is. Last time I heard a pivot was probably something that held something up, maybe a chair or something. But people just make it up as they go along, especially when it comes to Mikel Arteta. And they were saying that, Aubameyang found his way, in terms of he's very sharp. It's an North London derby. He didn't play last season. What we got yesterday was actually what we normally had with Mikel. Mikel is 2 steps forward, 5 back. In terms of his style of play, we had this last season where there were some very, very good results. Chelsea, great result, winning at Old Trafford, excellent result, winning away at Leicester. But we had situations where we just got taken back in. I don't think Mikel Arteta's got a clear playing style. I think what he's done is that he's stumbled across a very confident lad from the West Midlands in Ramsdale, and he wants that shirt. And I think that's benefited Arsenal because he thinks, you know what, I didn't come to be Leno's understudy. That's my shirt and I'm having it. And I think it helps Arsenal and it gives the defence some sort of confidence that they know a goalkeeper is going to be great coming out of crosses. That's the positives with what we got. And, so that is one win. Ben White, he's never going to be like a Tony Adams and Martin Keown. He's always going to be the sort of modern defender that, British coaches and continental coaches like. They don't want their defenders making tackles. They don't want them to be on the shoulder. They want them to be good on the ball and start attacks, a la Pep Guardiola, start attacks from different, parts of the pitch. And that's where Ben White is coming. So in that respect, there is positives in that, in those sort of things. But I think Daniel alluded to this, and you, Lee, I heard you speaking of Daniel, you're talking about credit in the bank. I don't agree with you on that, Lee, when you said credit in the bank. There shouldn't be any credit in the bank. We finished 8th in both 2 seasons, which means players are dispensable, even players who are big names at the club. If they're not playing well, then Tavares should come in for Tierney.
Yeah, I get that. I just think
and I think in terms of Aubameyang, what Arteta has done is that his style of play is very much David Moyes' his style of play when he was his first season at Man United and when he was playing at Everton, which means we're a hard running side. We make ourselves very difficult to beat. We try to get in areas where teams can't get past through us, but we've neglected the attack. And that's the biggest problem. The biggest elephant in the room is that we don't hurt teams. If you take away the Spurs game, we've only scored 2 goals this season. We aren't creating enough good enough chances. We've got players who are out of form. Saka is out of form. He is struggling big time because he's played too much football. Tierney is not doing the good things like getting his crosses in. Aubameyang, I don't know what's happening with Aubameyang, but we can't get the best out of him. How is it that Unai Emery, a much maligned coach, was able to get the best out of Aubameyang and Lacazette partnership? And we were playing a better style of football. And we had a clearer attacking style of play. Yes, defensively, we let teams on us. And, we conceded about 30 or 40 shots. Well, hang on here. We conceded 21 shots yesterday. So where's the difference? Where is the progress? You're not allowed to say that. This is not a criticism of Mikel Arteta. I haven't got a problem with Mikel Arteta. But when people come on and say, oh, yeah, why are you saying that there's a problem with Mikel Arteta in the dressing room? Well, hang on here. Martinelli has been pigeonholed into a position that me and you don't know about, but it seems that if that position is not available, he don't get on. He doesn't even come on for the last 5 minutes. He doesn't start games. So there's an issue there. So you've got a youth player who's not happy, and then you've got Balogun, another player who apparently, because of Mikel's magic, signed a contract. First chance he gets against Brentford, we get battered. Oh yeah, all bets are off. So where's the main management there? Where's the main management with Nketiah, a player that he keeps on persuading to stay and won't let go, but he won't get him a game? So these are issues where you've got an underperforming strike force. You've got a situation where, Baming's not playing well, but there's nothing coming behind him. So he plays whatever. So Mikel has clearly killed our attack with his tactics, but he's now got a situation where he's got demoralised young players who can't get games. Pepe, is being shutting out because Saka, who's clearly exhausted, is playing on the right-hand side because that's his best position. So when people say there's progress in Mikel Arteta, I beg to differ. That's just not me being belligerent and saying, oh, I'm Arteta out. It's not about that. It's about me looking at the situation and being able to present you guys, because you're my audience at the moment, with my reasons, footballing reasons, why I think there's no progress. It's not personal. I'm about Arsenal. I don't care who's in charge. I want to win. Preferably playing great football. I want the stats to be high. It's not personal.
Some great points there, and I'll tell you, let's just talk about Pepe for a second. When he comes on yesterday, I'm thinking, right, he's going to, he's put dropped him and put Saka out on the right and put Smith Rowe on the left. He brings him on, and I'm thinking, all right, this would be great to see him play on the left. This see what he can do on the left. Like, and what's he do? He swaps them over, like puts, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I thought, what was all that about? Why do that? You know what I mean? I did feel that was a little bit unfair on Pepe, if I'll be honest. But why is he not getting a tune out of Pepe? What do you think the reason is for that?
Well, if you look at the development of Pepe, if you talk about, I liken Pepe to John Barnes when he played under England, under Sir Bobby Robson and Graham Taylor, but mostly under Sir Bobby. God bless both their souls. But when John Barnes played his best football, Watford and Liverpool, especially Liverpool, they had the ball a lot. They were always in position. So what was happening? John Barnes was getting a lot of the ball. So John Barnes was able to develop his game from a left winger. Then he played off the cuff, and he became he developed into a player that can hit the box, and then he became like a 20-goal a season striker in his last few seasons before the Achilles injury. And that's what I wanted for Nicola Pepe, because he's got that ability to do that. Start him on the wings, learn his game, and then because he's a how do I say, off the cuff player, naturally gifted. But if you looked at the game against Norwich, who was our most prominent player? Who was the player that was actually scaring the life out of Norwich, just getting in the box? It was Nicola Pepe.
This is what I say, Kenny.
Yeah. So if you look at Nicola Pepe's development under Arteta, it's gone woefully backwards, because I was not a believer. I wanted him. I was very disappointed, but I got to see more of him, and I looked at who was more likely to hurt the opposition in the games and open the door. Nicola Pepe. Who was more likely to create assists, because everyone loves assists? Nicola Pepe. Who was the sort of person who's probably our best finisher? Nicola Pepe. So I was thinking, well, hang on here. This guy's had a semi-good season, albeit in what you called the graveyard competition, which is Europa League. So you were expecting some sort of development. But that hasn't happened on Mikel. Again, why hasn't it happened to go? Because Mikel has got a conundrum with Aubameyang, his main man. So not only is Nicola Pepe suffering because of the conundrum of Aubameyang, Lacazette has, but then there's another conundrum. Saka, because when he played Gareth Southgate in the Euros, plays right-hand side. So again, that's another position. And then if you want to couple that up, Smith Rowe's now coming aside. So Smith Rowe is now playing on the left. So in terms of like getting Pepe in the team, he's now probably going to have the same sort of situation with Martinelli, where he's been pigeonholed into a couple of positions that only the manager knows about. But if certain players are fit for selection, they can't play. But then again, you've got another problem. Smith Rowe, he gets a lot of the ball, but Smith Rowe is still untested. He had a great game against Tottenham Hotspur, but in terms of like yesterday, there was a lot of good things that Smith Rowe did, but there's a lot of bad things he did that annoyed me. Holds on the ball too long, and most importantly, when he holds on the ball too long, there was one decision where he was through and goal, where either he had to shoot, take his chance early, or put through, or put a square pass. He makes the wrong decision. I think Smith Rowe is making a lot of wrong decisions. Everyone is saying he's had a great season, being our best player. Smith Rowe is part of the problem in terms of like, I think. That is a massive issue.
We lost you a little bit there, Kenny.
We got you back now, Ken. We got you back now. Ken, I just wanted to ask you.
But I just want to go back to my point. Sorry, everyone. But my biggest point is the Pepe conundrum is that he's been left out. But he's been left out for players who, let's face it, are still learning their game, and one is woefully out of form. But because he's a Hale ender, and because he's, we sing lovely songs about him and his mate, Emil. I think Arteta, he thinks, right, these are my go-to lads, and regardless of performance, they've got to play. So that's another man-managed situation I think Mikel's not dealing with properly.
And I agree with that, you know, and I'm a massive Pepe fan, like as you and Lee both know. And I think he gets a lot of criticism. Like yesterday, people couldn't wait to slate him. Well, trust me, there was about 4 other players around him that were playing just as bad. Pepe
Yeah,
was
but
getting
yeah, but,
himself.
but if you don't mind me saying so, I think Lee, I've spoke to you this a lot. I generally believe that there's a hierarchy of tolerance for certain players.
Hmm.
You know,
He
Thierry,
doesn't trust him, Kenny.
yeah, but
He
no.
doesn't
But if you look
trust
at
him.
if you look at the star players, right, there's a high tolerance. Saka is going to get a high tolerance level with the fans. So Smith Rowe, Aubameyang used to, but doesn't have it anymore, and so's Tierney. So regardless of performance, you know the word you usually was credit in the bank. Now that's all well and good, but we're in a precarious situation now where we don't know. We haven't seen a consistent run of unbeaten games under Mick Arteta that we saw against the much maligned Unai Emery. I mean, if you don't mind me saying so, because I know there's a couple of people who are on this show who are massive Arteta fans, got respect for that, and they've maligned Unai Emery. But I just want to say one thing: how can one man who's only been here 5 seconds, be responsible for all our else? You tell me. You tell me that, guys. One man who's been here 18 months. So the 10 years when we had our problems was all his fault. The aftermath, when he's now in Villarreal, where we are struggling under this current manager, is all his fault. I think that's quite extraordinary. I think that's quite extraordinary that one man who's responsible, who's only been here 18 months, is responsible for all the problems we had previously and the problems we had before. And that he wasn't given the unilateral love for the fans, and he was basically forced out. And I think the board shafted because normally Arsenal, you know, owners or board members, whatever you call them, have always been patient with the managers. There's only 2 managers in the last 30 years who have not had, you know, the time to get their points across and actually get time in the job. Bruce Rioch, who was basically sold a blank page of nothing by David Dean because he wanted to get Arsene Wenger in, and Unai Emery. Apart from that, every Arsenal manager cannot say they haven't been given time by the fans and by the board. And I
Well,
think
let me
that's
ask
why
you this.
Mick
Let
Kelson's
me
done the
ask.
job.
I'll tell you what. Let
Mm.
me ask you both this then. Let me ask you both this. I'll come to you, Lee, first, and then I'll come to you, Ken, because I think this is really important. It's kind of two questions within one. How long are we giving this manager? You can give me games, you can give me a month, whatever it be. And do you honestly have the faith and belief that this ownership will sack him? I'll come to you, Lee.
No, I don't. I don't think they will because they've backed him. They've backed him, and I think and I think Kenny's made a good point. What he said about Emery. I think that the same thing for Emery as it was for Rioch. They wanted somebody else, and that's why they didn't give him the time. I think that they've always wanted Mikel Arteta for whatever reason. That's it. There. Listen, if we are where we are by Christmas and we're still in 8th and 10th and all that, for me that's not good enough. And you've got to look. Watford have sacked their manager. They're 3 points behind us. You know, whether you think that's right, whether you think that's wrong, like, you know what I mean. So we'll go from there. Like, just go on to Kenny for a sec, Dan.
Of course, go on, Ken. What do you think, mate?
Well, not at all, because I think, you know, the history states that Arsenal Football Club, as a club, have always backed their managers, especially if managers have won trophies. Or, you know, Terry Neal got a lot longer than he deserved in the Arsenal job. You know, Terry Neal should have been fired in the 1982-83 season. They gave him another season, and it took for him to, you know, balls it up till, you know, December '83 for him to get the sack. You know, Don Howe probably, you know, was a safe pair of hands, but the board clearly lost patience with Don Howe because they went behind his back to try and get Terry Venables, and that's why Don Howe resigned. George Graham, you know, people may say he might have gone stale after '94, but they carried on because he won what he's won, and then it took for a bunking scandal. We all know how long Arsene Wenger outstayed his welcome. So I don't see there being a situation when Mikel Arteta is going to outstay his welcome because the board and Arsenal traditionally give managers time, regardless, and they're very accepting of a situation. Like the board can easily say, "Well, this is our level now, and we just got to run with it and just hope we're gonna give this guy more time." And the thing is, our fan bases are enablers. You only have to, and the reason what enables Arteta is results of last week. Yesterday was a reality check. That is our level. What we performed yesterday.
I don't think a lot of fans at this moment are convinced.
You say that, but there's been fans who've been on social media and fans who've chastised themselves because of one result against Spurs for asking Arteta to be replaced.
Listen, that result last week, I don't care. You just enjoy it. You know what I mean? Like,
you enjoy it, but
enjoying all that. But it's not convincing me
because I'm a Christian. I'm a Catholic. I'm a Roman Catholic, and I'm a God-fearing man. But I'm going to say it. It's like me having my wife telling me she don't love me no more. She's divorcing me, and then we get together and we spend the night together in a hotel. And I think, God, why'd I do that? I'm in love. Oh, let's go and call the lawyers and let's get married again. That is what happened last week.
I agree. I don't listen. I've said it. I think Dan said it as well. It was fantastic. We beat Spurs and really, really enjoy it. But we need more convincing than just to get a win.
The same thing happened last season where we were going through a catastrophic run of results. In November was horrendous. The Man City game before Chelsea was horrendous when Runarsson was in goal, and then we got this excellent result against Chelsea. Then we got the result against Brighton. Then we played beautiful football against West Brom. We got to, beat Newcastle both times. Crystal Palace was a bit of a nil. And then what's happened? Wolves and Villa happened. So everyone thinks everything's changed. Arteta's got a discernible style of play. What are you guys saying? You lot are out of order. You guys just want us to lose so Arteta gets jobs. Then we go back then we have the Villa and Wolves. All right. Controversial decision Wolves, and then we had Villarreal, where major meltdowns, and then we had Kroenke in the stand, Josh, and fans were taking selfies and saying, "I've missed my football. Oh, please. Oh," and it's so emotional. When the guy that we want out is there for you to protest, you don't do nothing. You just go now, "I miss my football. Look at me," and all that. You're not putting your clubs first, you're putting your own thing. And that's not a criticism. What I'm trying to say is that I'm probably going to be popular. No, you're fan, but people who watch this will not be happy. But I've got to say it. That's what you got me in there, to say what I feel. There are fans in this football club who are enablers. They seem to forget that they support the third biggest club in the country that is set third to Liverpool and Man United in league titles and prestige. We are the third big. We are bigger than Chelsea and Man City, but they're the ones with the kudos because they're modern run football clubs. We need to get their standards, and I only want the best for us. And I want the highest of standards, and that means Mikel Arteta gets replaced, and that we start following their model. No, I'm not asking you and I to go and rob a bank, or basically, go around and do some sort of vandalism. I just want the best for Arsenal Football Club. I don't understand why people think that is so wrong for me to ask for that. I don't understand why Mikel Arteta gets the universal support from the board because it's the Arsenal way. But fans are thinking, well, you're spoilt by success. Oh, we've done the Invincibles. That's it. Let's not want anything else. Come on, Man United did that in '68. It took them 9 years to win a trophy. Liverpool, look up in the 80s when they celebrated all the Bob Paisley and Joe Fagan and Kenny Dalglish. They didn't win a title for another 30 years. We celebrated 1971 for 18 years. We're now doing it in 2004. When are we going to learn about raising our standards at Arsenal Football Club, Arsenal fans? You can't go around having arguments and start saying, "Oh, I'm glad Liverpool lost against Watford because ours is gold and theirs isn't." Come on, we're better than that. We're the third biggest club in the country, damn it. Come on. Raise your standards. It's your club. Come on. Get off your asses. Stop going around and saying we're spoiled by success and I'm going to block someone for negativity. This isn't positive. We're not challenging for the title. We're not even going to get in the top 4. Why are we not saying we want the standards? Why are we being patient? We've been patient for 17 years, damn it.
I love it, Ken. I love it. Honestly,
Yeah,
I think
I agree with it. You know, we should be pushing now for top 4 this season without no Europe, with all those signs. I'm not saying that we're going to get it, but we should be aiming for it.
Yeah. And when we go, and Lee, what I say, when we go Old Trafford, right, when they're playing with McTominay and Fred, we go there and do what Everton did and said, right, that is a defensive, that is a Man United team that wants to pit on a break. And we go there and boom, all that attack.
I will say this, Kenny. I'll say this now. When Arsenal go to Man United, they won't rest players like they did yesterday. They won't do it. You know what I mean? Like, I think they're a little bit
probably not, but they're still gonna be protective and have McTominay and Fred and either one of Financial or Pogba, or move Pogba down, which means they're there for the taking. Shara is their Mick Arteta.
Listen. When I look at Man United, and I've got no loyalties to whatever. I brush aside them winning anything because they haven't got a top class manager. That is what I say. I say if they had a top class manager with all those players, I think that Man United would go on and challenge for the title. I don't think they will because they've got him in charge. It's the same with Arsenal. I don't think Arsenal will get to Europe. So nothing to do with the players.
I think the common denominator, Lee and Dan, is that both Man United and Arsenal had long-term managers. Like we've had Wenger for 27, Wenger for 20. How many years was it? We had Wenger for 21, 22 years. Sir Alex was there for 26, 27 years. So what's happened is that Arsenal and Man United had to be dragged into the 21st century because of the fact that they're having to play catch up with Man City and Chelsea in terms of the modern way that clubs have been run, and the fact that they have to win like yesterday, and they behind the scenes they have to get the top people who can in footballing positions like Chelsea and Man City have, and I think Arsenal and Man United have struggled in that. But you have to stop feeling sorry for yourself, stop being accepting of our current position, and say, look, we need to imitate what's working. Because the way Chelsea and Man City are run, they are modern European clubs built for success. We have the facilities at our club. We've got the potential. We got a 60,000 stadium. The amount of money we have got pots of money. The potential at Arsenal is frightening. If only someone could just grow a pair and raise their standards and get the right people in place. It's no disgrace to follow Chelsea's lead, because guess what? Cobham is a rip-off of London Colney. Right? Abramovich, when he built Cobham, looked at London Colney. The way Chelsea played under Mourinho is the way we played under Arsene Wenger from 98 to 2004. They copied Arsenal. In terms of like having the French markets themselves, Newcastle and the other teams copied Arsenal. So they copied us. Why not copy them? No disgrace. All the formulas are all tried and tested, and they've just looked at other clubs. Howard Kendall, when he was successful in 87 and 85 previously, copied the Liverpool way of doing things from Bob Paisley. There's no such thing as an innovator in football. We all copy it. 4-3-3. They did it they played it in 1966. Gegenpress. Guess what? Invented in Britain in the 1960s. Nothing is new comes on. We all copy each other. Come on, let's raise the standards.
I love it, Ken. Honestly, Kenny, that is such a good way to come to the end of a show, mate. I think it's absolutely.
That's why you had me on, isn't it?
I knew you'd come on with passion, mate, and that's why I love it. It's been great. Kenny, thank you for coming on, mate. How can people follow you, bro?
I'll tell you one thing, they're going to be bloody abusing me. It'd be Kenny Ken 1972, both Twitter and Instagram. And please be nice, be kind, be nice, and let's be constructive. It's we're all on the same sides. We're all batting. We're all in the same batting lineup. You know, we all wear red, and then when we're away from home, we wear yellow or purple, whatever the away colours are. You know, we all want the same things. We all sit in the same end of the cup final. We all cry when we lose. We're no different, mate. Doesn't matter how long we supported a club or where we watch the games from. We're all Arsenal. There's no such thing as the ain't Arsenal.
Before we go,
enough.
Two bits of breaking news. The Washington football team won today in American football. Get in there, like, you know.
And what's that? Rugby with shoulder pads.
And Ranieri has been appointed. Is going to be taken over at Watford. Just
that's the worst kept secret after they sacked their managers now today.
So there you go.
Anyway, you better let me go before we
Lovely. Cheers, Kenny. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate that. Like, love you, man.
Love you, Kenny.
See you later.
Love, man.
Loved it.
Love.
Enjoyed it.
There we go, the wonderful Kenny Ken there. Lee, I've really enjoyed that. It's gone blimming quick again, if I'm honest with you.
Quick, an hour and a half, like, you know what I mean? So, well over an hour and a half, like, really enjoyable. You know, and I love that different takes on what's going on at the moment, and very, very enjoyable, like, you know. So I thoroughly enjoyed that today, and after a little bit of a hangover, I've quite enjoyed managed to get through it. So I'm quite well pleased about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, the last thing we've got to do is read out the last super chat of the night, which I'm going to let you have the last word on, Lee, before we wrap up. It is Andrew AFC 1981. Thank you for your kind donation. It says, last week's celebrations were embarrassing, well over the top. Yes, we beat Spurs, but this is the worst Spurs side in ages, who, by the way, are above us.
Listen, it's not the worst Spurs I've ever seen, like, you know what I mean? And I'll tell you, like, listen, when you beat Spurs, I don't care whatever it is, you enjoy it and you milk it, and there's nothing embarrassing about lauding it over from them down the road, whether they're above us or they're not, on whatever. Like, you know, when we was winning leagues and they was down the bottom, when we beat them, I enjoyed it just as much as I did last time, because you know what? That is what Arsenal and Spurs is all about, like, you know. And for me, enjoy it, but it's over now. It's gone. It's in the past. For that week, enjoy it, and enjoy it as best as you can. Because I tell you what, when they do it to us, they come back and we're in their thousands. So don't worry about that, like, and they give it. So whenever we beat them, I'm going to be celebrating. I'm never embarrassed about celebrating it. But now it's done, finished, put to bed. Brighton was the next game. We roll on to the next game now, like, you know, that's in the past. But we're still, whenever they start giving it, they're above us. 3-1, mate. 3-1. That soon shuts them up. Good night.
Well said, Lee Judges. Thanks to everyone tonight. At one stage, there was over 800 of you watching live. Absolutely fantastic. Superb interaction in the chat tonight. I must say that. There's been some fantastic interactions. Some great guests on. I thank Daniel Bailey TV. Make sure you go and sub to his channel. Make sure you go and follow him on socials. Gooner Girl, Amanda, Princess Gooner on Twitter. Go and make sure you follow her also. And of course, Kenny Ken on Instagram and Twitter. Until then, people, we will see you next time. Up the Arsenal.
Take care.